Hey everybody, welcome back into Inside Marketing. We're going to discuss a pretty cool post from Marketing Profs this week, which looks at the behavior of our favorite generation, Gen Y, and specifically the idea that they don't buy anything. They don't trust anything except for user-generated content and reviews and the like. And this is actually based on some research that Bizarre Voice did, and also includes some analysis from other folks like McKinsey. And I wanted to open this up to the panel. Does this make sense? That is this what we've created is a bunch of people who don't trust anything but bloggers and online reviewers? They don't even trust their friends and their neighbors anymore? What do you think, Shopa?
I think it's just a natural progression of the, I guess, soapbox generation that we've become. There's the ability to share thoughts and feedback on experiences with brands, whether it's product, service, or otherwise. So if the information's out there, I want to know what a neutral, for all intents and purposes, what a neutral third-party third-party reviewer has to say about their experience with a brand. You know, I trust that more than they have nothing in it, right? It is as neutral as potentially it could be. And there's always the issue that, you know, competitors are coming in and posting things and whatever, you know, so there's a little bit of need for discretion there, but I think that it's invaluable content, and some of the numbers that they have in this report, they don't surprise me at all. They look like, you know, I think one of the numbers was something like 86% they check user-generated reviews before any sort of purchasing decision. Wow, I can't talk today. Before any sort of purchasing decision, which it sounds huge, but it's not surprising. The information's there, and it's just a matter of finding it and, you know, taking it with a grain of salt, but definitely using that as part of the purchasing decision.
What do you think, Jeff? Is this a surprise, or is this just what we expect with everybody kind of online and wired, and everybody's now a publisher?
It wasn't surprising to me. I mean, I check user reviews all the time. But at the same time, I still don't think it has surpassed importance, at least in my eyes, as you know, response and feedback and opinions of people I know and trust. You know, when I look at third-party content online, reviews for, you know, restaurants or products, whatever, I take that to a certain degree with a grain of salt. You know, there's going to be a bad review, there's going to be a good review. Once the person's going to say 4 stars, the other person's going to say 0 stars. But and I'm not going to take any of those to heart, but if I have a friend who says, you know, it's the best place I've ever been in my entire life, or the best product I've ever purchased, I'm going to take that a lot more to heart than I am just you know, a random person posting a 5-star review.
And that's the interesting thing. I mean, the subtext here is, and even the title of the study was, you know, talking to strangers, millennials trust people over brands. And now, speaking of grain of salt, I mean, this was a study by Bizarre Voice, which creates software for user-generated reviews. So obviously, you know, we're talking about a source here that's invested in this model of getting information. But that notwithstanding, I think it's pretty interesting that maybe kind of what you said, but kind of different, Jeff. What you said is people trust sort of the masses, the crowd, more than they trust somebody who they know or their neighbor. And maybe that's it, is the web and these tools make it so easy to aggregate sort of views across a whole bunch of people that we really do trust the crowd, even though we might not trust the outliers, the people who are just cranky about everything, or the people who are pumping up everything. If you have enough sample points, then maybe, you know, the star rating on Yelp is actually pretty good if there's like 50 reviews. Is that what we're talking about here, Shopa?
I think that's a big part of it. I think the other thing that's really interesting to note in this study is that people, I can't remember the percentages right now, but a lot of people indicated that brands that are willing to post, to openly show this type of user feedback are much more trusted by Gen Y, by the Gen Y audience than brands who kind of hide it or don't acknowledge it. And I think it totally speaks to you know, this old school mentality versus being up to date and accepting the fact that I think it's sort of like a three-part thing, right? You need a brand that will accept the fact that people are talking about these things, whether they like it or not. Embrace it, you know, whether that's actually letting it live on their Facebook page, you know, on Twitter, comments on YouTube, whatever it may be, and actually following up with it, right? Taking it to heart and actually improving based on feedback. I think that's something that our generation really likes to see. That's a brand that I would want to, buy something from. And I think to a certain degree, Apple may be the only exception, but for most brands that are relevant and top of mind for our audience, I would say that they have in some way, shape, or form embraced that need to take the sort of the crowdsourcing of feedback and take that to heart when they look to improve their products or service.
I mean, Apple's an interesting case because historically they've done less on their own social channels than a lot of other peer companies, and they've done a lot more in terms of fostering community and supporting third-party support sites and review sites and things like that. And I think the bottom line to me is that this is sort of, it's a way of being open, it's a way of being authentic. We talk a lot about telling stories, and in a way your customers have the best stories to tell. But I think the openness part is brands that are willing to present the good, the bad, and the ugly, with the hope that if they're providing good products and they're providing good service, that, yeah, there's going to be some outliers, but that makes it more real, too. I mean, if everything was a 4-star review on a travel site, you'd be a little bit skeptical if these were all just people who were plugging a property. If there's a range, and on average it's 3.5 stars, but you've got some 1 stars because people had a bad experience with somebody at the check-in desk, or it rained when they were there, I think those authentic stories is what makes this work, and I think the study points out that people react positively to this. So Jeff, I'll leave it to you for the last word here. So from a marketing perspective, what do you think these results mean? It just means more of the same, more engagement, more open, engaging with our audience? Is there more to that?
Yeah, I absolutely think that. I think what you wanted to provide for your customers is a platform to really talk positively about your product, but not hiding the negative. I think if you create a good product and if you let people talk about that, the bad things are going to take care of themselves. And if you really commit yourself to providing a service that is exactly what your customers are looking for, and take the negative feedback with with a grain of salt, but at the same time take that feedback and look back on yourself and how can you improve on those things and really take to heart what people are saying about you. I think that's the best way, is being open and honest about your company and really letting people talk about it. That's what people are going to respond to.
No, I agree. So with that, it's all about being open. It's all about managing expectations. Hopefully your expectation is that there's some useful tidbits in our discussion each week. With that, I hope you tune in next time. Thanks.